5 steps to purchasing your first truck. Step 1, having the financing lined up. Step 2, find a newer-ish truck. Step 3, test out the truck. Step 4, buy the truck with the most available parts. And step 5, have a great maintenance program lined up after you purchase the truck. Okay, so step 1 with buying the truck. So a bank is not going to finance, 99% chance because you're a new company, or maybe not a new company, but for new companies, the bank is almost certainly not going to finance your desire to purchase a truck because you have no income, no business history, and no evidence that you're going to make it succeed, right? But there are companies that will finance your truck. So company 1 here is Fleetway Capital Corp. So this is a company that will, you can see here, Fleetway Capital has been providing commercial vehicle leasing and equipment leasing for startup companies for over 20 years. It is able to provide leasing services to business operating for less than 2 years. What they do is they give you a lease to purchase contract, basically where you can finance the truck out for 4 or 5 years, and then you purchase the truck for a balloon payment for $1 at the end of term. Now you can see here also in the article here in FreightWaves, it's going to give us another 5 companies that will finance companies like this, finance trucks like this. So less than 2 years in a business, and you haven't operated a trucking company before, and low credit. Basically, like you're starting off anew, you've never made $1, and you can't get financing. We have CAG Capital here. I've heard of them. See here, 35% minimum down payment for tax liens, 10% for established owner-operators. So if you're just starting off new and you buy a $100,000 truck, this is going to be $35,000 of a down payment. You can see they fund pretty quickly. If you've done this before, you get a 10% down payment. Quest, just another company. Haven't heard of them before. Same with First Mark. Balboa, I have heard of them before. We were actually considering using them. Best for same-day funding, credit requirements, none. So these are all companies that will finance you if you have zero proof that you know how to run a business or have run a business or done anything before, and therefore the financing is going to be worse, right? So kind of like we saw there with the CAG Capital, the 35% down. Let's say you get a $100,000 truck. There's probably going to be some closing costs with that, so you can almost anticipate, a $35,000, $30,000, $40,000 down payment on a $100,000 truck. So this is something you would have to be potentially ready for. Or maybe they're open to some kind of negotiation, but in order to get into the game, you kind of gotta, ante up essentially, So you're not going to be able to get any bank loan. You're not going to be able to go to your bank and, have them finance a truck because the truck is a business, and that doesn't really, your credit score helps, but it doesn't show that you know how to run a business. What you could do after you get this horrible financing agreement is that you then can go after a couple years, and it's not horrible because it's all you can get, so I shouldn't say that, but it's all we could get for quite a while, and you take those financing agreements, maybe for 1 or 2 or 3 trucks at that point, and then you can get an SBA refinance. Now, this is a ton of work, but you can go into the SBA, and then from the SBA, you can actually go afterwards, get that refinanced into a commercial loan. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, after these hard down payments, and refinancing, you can actually pull some of that cash back out potentially and, liquefy your bank a little bit. Okay, so step 2 is that you want to buy a newer-ish truck. Basically, as new as you could possibly afford is the truck that you should get. So I would recommend getting a truck that is between 1 to 2 to 3 years old and operating that truck for 2 to 3 years before then selling it, just so you get the maximum resale value. Just from experience of buying older trucks, they just go down more often. So I know that the payment of, let's say, $1,100 a month might seem very tempting for you buying a new truck. The thing is, you're going to lose tons of money on not operating that truck when it goes down for a week, 2 weeks. Basically, when that truck's down, you're basically done. You're going to have to keep paying the insurance, keep paying your rent, keep paying for all your fixed costs. That adds up extremely quickly. I think that the way to look at it is if you're an owner-operator, I would think of it like every day your truck is down, you're losing about $300 a day. If you're running multiple trucks, I would say look at it as every day that truck is down, you're losing about $500 a day. So buy a newer-ish truck, recycle that truck in like 2 to 3 years, sell it, and then get another truck, and try to keep the trucks as new as possible because the most important thing is keeping that truck on the road. Okay, so step 3, take the truck out on a test drive. Very, very simple. There are plenty of people who purchase trucks without taking it on a test drive. I have done it myself. It was a bad move, but you always, no matter what, no matter how new the truck is, even if it's brand new, take that truck on a test drive. Step 4 is going to be trying to select a truck with the most available parts where you are. So most likely if you're listening to this, you are in the United States. So a Freightliner would most likely be the best option in terms of part availability. Now this just goes back to the same thing. You want to keep your truck on the road. You don't want to be missing one random part that's on back order, and because that's your one truck, you cannot operate for 3 weeks. Minimize your risk. Get a Freightliner, get a truck that all the parts are made in the United States. Step 5, have a great maintenance plan in place. Now I promise you, this will make or break you, and this, if it is breaking you, you can fix it. So what I would do before you get the truck is you should watch 2 days or 3 full days worth of YouTube videos on how to fix trucks, all the different parts, so you actually have a baseline knowledge of how to do it so you're not getting as ripped off. You can also ask ChatGPT for part numbers and ask it what a fair price would be if you use AutoGPT. But outside of that, know what you're doing, and if you got to fix something on the road yourself, like a tire or doing a PM, greasing, changing oil, you should know how to do this stuff yourself. So otherwise, with maintenance as well, you really want to form a good relationship with whoever your mechanic is, whoever's going to be working on your truck, whether it's like taking this person out to lunch, whatever you got to do to grease the deal, because this person is going to make or break you. Could rip you off. They could choose to not fix your stuff first. They could tell you your parts on back order. It's very easy for them to tell you the truck's not going to be up. And again, the reason we're buying the truck is so we could run the truck, and we don't want it sitting in the mechanic shop doing nothing because we had told our maintenance guy to F off and we didn't learn anything about maintenance beforehand. We're kind of a sitting duck who brings nothing to the table in that case. So learn your stuff, watch YouTube, take your mechanic out to lunch, show him a good time, and be a good person to him. Okay, so those are my 5 thoughts before purchasing a truck and how to approach it properly. If you disagree with anything, just let me know in the comments. I always like to learn a little bit more, and like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.